Mulimutia everyone! In this video, we are going to learn the basic functions in Microsoft Excel. Functions may seem a bit difficult to understand at first, but if you become used to using functions, they're going to help you a lot in your daily work. Let's get started. Kati kati. Functions. Now, a function in Excel is a ready-made formula that helps you calculate or summarize data quickly. Under here is the example structure of a function. Now, a function starts with an equal sign, and then it is followed by the name of the function, and then parentheses. Inside the parentheses, we have what is called argument. You can think of the function in Excel similar to mathematical functions. We have inputs and outputs, and the input would be the argument. Now, the argument can be a range of cells, or numbers, or text. It can be any type of data that Excel requires. Under here is the example. Let's break it down into parts to see what each part means. First of all is the equal sign. The equal sign tells Excel that you are writing a formula or function. Every function in Microsoft Excel starts with an equal sign. Then it is followed by the name of the function. The name of the function is in alphabets, and the upper and lower case doesn't matter as long as you have the name of the function correct. We have the parentheses. Inside the parentheses is the information that Excel needs to finish this function. In this case would be the range of cells B2 until B10. And this column here indicates the cells B2 until B10. Let's go to the first function that we are going to learn. The first function that we are going to learn is the sum function. The sum function adds numbers together. In here example, we have the sum function, and inside the argument, we have a single range of cells, C2 until C16. What this means is that this is going to add every number inside this range together. The structure of the sum function is like this. We usually have an argument, and we can have more than one argument as shown in here. Argument number 2 is covered in square brackets, indicating that from this one, this argument isn't necessary to finish the function. So you can see, as example here, we can use just one argument or a single range of cells to finish this function. Let's see this in practice. Let's go to sheet number 1 by pressing Control Page Down. In this sheet, we have a financial data for practice. Do note that this is a mock data set for practicing. This isn't real data. It is only a fictional example. Let's go to the question here. What is the total value of the amount collected? Now, we want to know the total value of this column here. To do so, we can use the sum function. Let's start by typing in the equal sign, and then we can type in the name of the function. Now, before we even finish, you can see that Excel is suggesting several functions that we can use. In these suggestions, you can navigate through using the arrow key or clicking. And if you have found the functions that you want to use, you can double click or press Tab, and Excel will automatically finish for you. In here, after you have entered in the function, you can go to the FX button, and a helpful box showing you the information about the function and about the argument field will appear. Now in here, we want to type in these ranges. You can do so by clicking and then dragging to the range of cells that you want. Now you can press OK. Then you will see that the sum of this amount that we want is automatically calculated. The second function that we are going to learn is the average function. The average function finds the average value of numbers. The structure of the function is similar to the sum function. Let's see this in action by going to sheet number 1 again. You can press Control Page Down, and let's see the second question. What is the average value of the amount collected? Now, we want to type in the average function. But say we do not remember the name of the function. There is another way to enter a function in Excel. Up here, you can go to the Formulas tab, and you can see that there is a thing called Function Library. In here are functions categorized here into different categories. For example, let's say we want to type in the sum function. You can go to the mathematical functions, and you can see that various functions here are listed here in alphabetical order. Let's go down to S. You can see that sum function here can be located. Now, since we are going to use the average function can be located in the statistical function. Here you can find the average. Let's click on this function. And since this range of cells isn't what we want, we can delete. And let's enter in the range that we want. Since we want to calculate the average value of this column here, we can select these fields by clicking on the first cell. And instead of clicking and dragging, you can also go to the last cell that you want to select, press Shift and click. And then you can see that the first to the last cell is easily selected. You can press Enter to finish this box. Now you can see that this average value has been calculated. Now, since this number isn't usually a clean, evenly divided number, you can see and adjust the decimal places that you want to see by going here and then clicking here, increase or decrease decimal. And Excel will automatically calculate and round up the numbers until the decimal places that you want. Now let's leave it as showing no decimal. The third function that we're going to learn is the count function. The count function counts how many cells contain numbers. One thing you have to note is that this function does not count text. It only counts numeric values. So in a given range, for example here C2 until C16, it will only count the cells that contains numbers. Let's go to the sheet number 1 to see what this means. The third question here, how many entries are there in the column budget target? Now, this data here isn't a lot of entries here, and you can easily manually count this one. However, if the data becomes large and there are lots of data, then this count function will become very useful. Let's type equal and then count. Now, instead of using the suggestion Excel is giving you, if you have typed in the full name of the function correctly, you can just type in the parenthesis to start entering in the argument. Now, I want the entries of this budget target column, and as I've done before, I can click on the first cell here, press Shift until the cell that I want. Now you can press Enter, and then you can see that there are total 12 entries in this column. The fourth function that we are going to learn is the min function. The min function finds the smallest number in a range. You can understand it as the minimum number. And you can see that the structure is same as before. Let's go to sheet number 1 again. And the first question here, what is the smallest value in amount collected? Now, I want to know the smallest value of this column. I can type in equal, and then the name of the function, the min, and then enter in a parenthesis. I want to select this range of cells. Now, one more way that you can do this is to click on the first cell that we want to select, press Ctrl, Shift, and down arrow, and then what this will do is go to the end of this data set that is listed here. This would be cell D16, and it's going to select everything from start to finish. You can press Enter, and then you can see that the smallest value in this column is 1,660,000. Let's go back to the first sheet. Press page up. The final function that we are going to learn in this video is the max function. Now, the max function is the exact opposite of the min function. it will find the largest number or the maximum number in a given range. Let's go to sheet number 1 again. The final question, what is the largest value in budget target? Now in this column, I want to find out the largest value. You can type in equal and then max, type in a parenthesis. You can click on the first cell, and as I have done before, press Ctrl, Shift, and down arrow, and then you will select the entire column. You type in enter, and then we can see the 7,300,000 is the largest value in this column. Now let's go to the next sheet. Sheet number 2 contains similar data and some questions that you can use to practice using these functions. Now since this is exactly the same, I'm going to skip this one and go to sheet number 3. In here, let me explain a few more things. First thing is that this data is currently in a table format. You can know whether a data is in table format or not by clicking in the data, and then see here up, you can see that the tab table design appears. This indicates that these cells are in a table format. However, if you go to sheet number 1, press page up, control page up, you can see if I click on the data inside here, the tab table design doesn't appear. So you can see that this data is not in a table format. If you want to change this data into a table format, you can press Ctrl A to select everything, press Ctrl T, and then you can change these data into a table format. Now, let's go to sheet number 3. And since these data are in table format, the reference of the cells is going to be a little different. Let me show you an example. The first question here asks, what is the largest value in mothers referred? I want to know the largest value in this column. To do so, I can use the max function. Now, I type in the parenthesis, and I want to select these columns. So, I press the first cell that I want to select, press Ctrl, Shift, and down arrow, and then you can see that I have selected these cells, and it is saying that I have selected from inside maternity statistics table the column mothers referred. This is the title, the header name of this column. This is exactly the same as saying cells G5 until G22, but this is showing you the cells in this way because it is in a table format. Now if I press enter, this is going to do the exact same, and this is going to show me the largest value in this column. One more thing is this one. Now this question asks, what is the total value of antenatal care visits and postnatal visits? This question asks you to sum up more than one column. Now if it were to be the same range of cells, for example, I can go and use the sum function. If it were to be an adjacent range of cells, I can start by clicking on here and then maybe go to the next column. But what we want to calculate is the antenatal care visits column and then the postnatal visits column. So in this case, the range of cell isn't adjacent. Now to use those two different range of cells in a same function, first you can select one column, press Ctrl Shift and down arrow, and then you can type in the comma. What this will do is add in an extra argument so that we have two arguments in a same function. Now since we are in a second argument, we can click on the first cell we want to select, and you can see that this range is highlighted in a different color, showing you that it is in a different argument. You can press Ctrl, Shift, and down arrow, and then press enter. Then you will see that the total value of antenatal care visits and postnatal visits are calculated in a same function. This is everything that I wanted to cover in this video. Please feel free to fill in the answers by yourself and practice using the functions that we have learned in this video. Me valeño!